Hello and good evening to all of you. Welcome to this live session on current affairs. And current affairs is one of the important parts of the new CSEET exam, which the ICSI board would be conducting. And this would be the entrance exam and the first exam that all of you would be facing in your pursuit of becoming a company secretary. And this is one of the most interesting papers that you have. That doesn't mean that other papers are not interesting. I would be lying if I say so. Every paper, every subject that is included in CSEET syllabus is really interesting and leaves us with a lot of knowledge. Absolutely no doubt about it. I have personally gone through the syllabus of all the four papers. It is very, very interesting and leaves the students with a lot of knowledge. Now, what makes current affairs separate or unique out of all the papers is it is something for which there is no set syllabus. Now, if I ask you, you will tell me we have the syllabus and we have a reference book and we have topics that are listed. And why do you tell that there is no syllabus? Now, the syllabus that we have is the indication of what are the things that we should focus on. But the real study material is something which all of us would be getting from the other sources. So it makes it very interesting. And this also makes us to be on our toes all the time. That is very, very important. I cannot tell that I have read 100 pages and I have practiced something and I'm very sure of doing well in this particular subject. That formula doesn't work here. So this paper needs constant, continuous, committed participation from each one of you. Say, for example, you are starting your CSEET preparation from today. Okay, let's keep it from today. And say from 2 months from now, you have your examination. It's just a hypothetical case. I'm not very sure when the exams would be and all those things. That is the job of the board, and I'm sure they will take care of all those things. So what are we focusing here is, let us say from today we are starting the preparation part, and say from 60 days from now we have the examination. So what are we expected to do? Every day 20 minutes of your time must be dedicated towards the current affairs subject. Now, what is the outcome of this? Correct. The outcome is, I'm assuring you that if you set aside 20 minutes to 30 minutes every day towards your current affairs preparation, and whenever you take up the examination, I'll assure you that you will score 80+% marks in this paper. Now, if you come and tell me, sir, you teach economics also every day, I'll study half an hour, what is the marks that you can guarantee? I'm not very sure how much of marks you will be assured, because it is purely based on the memory, knowledge, application, and all those things. Here, current affairs is all about keeping ourselves updated. That's all, nothing else. Got it? The more and more you involve yourself, you will start enjoying. And here there is no need to mug up anything. That is the best part of it. You need not mug up anything. You need not memorize anything. That's what I mean. So every day you keep reading. Somewhere in the subconscious mind, all these things keeps on getting registered. And when there is a question, I don't know. I don't know how the brain works, but from somewhere you will get the answer. So that is how exactly current affairs works, and that's the beautiful part of it. The only thing that this paper demands is your commitment, which is very, very necessary. Otherwise, all other things will happen automatically, naturally, without much problem. So anyway, I will take you through the syllabus of this subject, and I will also have some discussion on some of the news items which are there in the newspapers, and we will try to understand how we have to prepare and which are the different areas that are available for us to prepare or get the information. And then if you have any doubts or something, you can always ask and get it clarified. Anyway, so we will start with the syllabus. Now, the syllabus is just 90 pages. And in that, around 85 to 90 pages is what you have. And in that, first chapter is for 45 pages. So that means that 50% of your syllabus is chapter number 1. and all the remaining things that you have put together, you have 3 more chapters. So what I'm telling you is there might be no questions from the textbook at all. That is what we understand. I'll also give the reason why I have this feeling. I will give the justification for this. So what are we supposed to do? What you're supposed to do is read through all these 90 pages. In a day, if you read 10 pages also, you'll be able to cover 90 pages in less than 9 days. Okay. So what is it that we have in chapter number 1? The chapter 1, like I told you, the biggest chapter in the syllabus starts with the international organizations. So what are international organizations? International organizations are those organizations who have got their operations across the world, and who are their members. It is not one person or one body. Countries itself are their members. So can we take some examples for this? IMF is the best example, International Monetary Fund. Then we have other organizations such as the World Bank, right? Then we have organizations like the WHO. WHO is in news for the last 3-4 months on a daily basis. Something related to COVID-19, coronavirus, we get it from WHO, correct? So WHO talks about the spread, the spike, and the symptoms and the vaccines, and all these news, validated news, comes from WHO. So WHO is another international organization, right? So these are some of the international organizations that we have. So we will start the syllabus with those organizations. Then we come to national level organizations, which are very important, which play a vital role in deciding the economic status, business world, business condition of our country. So what could be the examples for this? RBI is an example, right? Then SEBI is an example. Then IRDA is an example. IRDA stands for Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India. So then TRAI is an example. TRAI is the Telecom Regulation Authority of India. So all these are national level organizations which are there, and they play a very, very important role in the business world of the country. So from here, we also have in chapter number 1, we come across some of the world leaders, and we have been given examples of our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. Then we have the President of America, that is Donald Trump. So such political leaders are introduced to us. Then in the same chapter, we are introduced to some of the business leaders of the world. So business leaders could be somebody like, say, Mukesh Ambani. Mukesh Ambani has emerged as one of the richest persons in the world today. He ranks 4th or 5th in the world after the Geo platform attracting huge sums of investment from various companies and countries across the world. So we have the profile of Mukesh Ambani. Then we have the profile of Tim Cook. Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple now. Then we also read a little about Bill Gates. Bill Gates is the founder of Microsoft, and he still continues to be one of the richest persons across the world, although Jeff Bezos is competing very closely with him for the first position. Bill Gates still continues to be one of the richest persons in the world. So we read about such business personalities, and it makes it very, very interesting. So from there, we move on to some of the important summits that are there in the world. For example, we can take G20 summit. Now, what is the G20 all about? G20 is all about the top 20 economies of the world. Now, whether we like it or not, we cannot question whether it is fair or unfair. That is not our objective here. But if you see, why is this G20 so very important? G20 consists of biggest economies such as USA, Japan, China, India, France, all these, UK, all these countries are there. And we also have Saudi and other countries. So top 20 economies of the world. So what makes them so important? What makes them so powerful is 75 to 80% of the wealth that is found in the world. 75 to 80% of the wealth that is found in the world is distributed in these top 20 economies of the world. So that makes them very, very strong, powerful, and they are the influencing forces in the world. So we read about such summits, and we read about such groups and all those things. Then we also read about the regional blocks such as the BIMSTEC, and we read about SARC, we study about BRICS. So all the latest news that is associated with that, whenever the syllabus was drafted, all these things are covered in the first chapter for us. Then going forward, we also have the awards. the top awards, the top civilian awards that are given in the country, which has the Bharata Ratna and the Padma awards, Padma Shri, Padma Vibhushan. All these awards are included, and we also read a little about the awards that are given in the movies, like Saheb Phalke Award and all those things. Then we also have a note on some of the things which we had studied in our school and which we should remember throughout our life, such as the national symbols, like the national flag. We all should know what is our national flag, what is the importance of our national flag, who designed our national flag, and when was it adopted as the national flag of the country. All these. Then we study about the national animals and the national birds, which is very, very important for all of us to know. We might have see what happens is when we start studying, reading about some of the bigger things, we tend to forget these fundamental things which we have studied in our maybe in our primary school and all those things. So there is a reminder of all these things. This is really nice actually. We read about the national flowers, national bird, national animal, national flag, and we read about the Ashoka pillar and the four lions which have been taken from the Ashoka pillar. All these things are covered in chapter number 1. So very, very interesting chapter. Starts with something like IMF and World Bank and RBI and all those things, and comes to the most fundamental things which every citizen of the country should know and should remember throughout the life. So this is all about the first chapter that we have. Then we go to the second part where we study about the financial sector of the country. So here we read about RBI and SEBI, and we go deep into the banking system and all those things. So we understand how exactly the financial sector of the country works, and we get to know a lot of things, how the finance of the country is managed and all this. So it is sort of continuation, and to an extent it is repetition of a few of the topics that we study in economics and business environment. So from there we move to the political environment of the country. So it talks about the political affairs. Now there is a saying which says that politics is an evil, right? Even if you're not looking at it, it is always looking at it. Sometimes I wonder, what I should be telling. I just leave it without talking anything. There are a lot of people who tell that we don't like politics, we don't follow politics. It is dirty. It is not for us. It's a very, very foolish statement if you ask me. When we say we have to follow political affairs, it doesn't mean that we have to get cheap and we need to get down or stoop down to the level of politicians and carry our life in those standards. No, definitely not that. When we talk about the political affairs, we need to understand which are the different political parties that are there in the country. Each party comes from a particular state, if they are regional parties, or we have the national party. Every party will have a philosophy, right? You may tell that we all there are parties whose philosophies have all got diluted. That is not the point for discussion here. Now here our focus is: are there political parties? Yes. Are there something called regional parties? Yes. Are there national parties? Yes. At least on papers, do all parties have a philosophy? Yes. Do they have a manifesto which they all publish before the election? Yes. Do they all contest elections? Yes. Have they formed government in different states and at the union or at the central level? Yes. So who are the different ministers? Which are the different ministries? And how are they administering or governing the country is what we need to understand. Correct? The policies that every party has made when they have come to power, or the policies which the parties have changed when they come to power, and the economic performance or the importance that the parties give when they form government towards the economic development and policies. These are the things which every person should know when we tell that we have to have the common or the basic understanding of political affairs. So if you feel that knowing about politics is not the greatest thing, you are wrong, right? Directly, indirectly, we are all influenced, impacted, right, affected by the political decisions or the decisions that the government takes. And if you take our cases, when I say our cases, Indians as citizens, it is very important for us because we live
in a country which is the largest democracy in the world, right? It is we who elect our governments. There is another saying which says that in democracy, people will get the government as per their caliber, correct? So if I am good, if I know a lot of things, if I am knowledgeable, if I am educated, I will vote for those parties and those people who have got higher level of caliber. So if we blame that we don't have a good government, or if we blame that we don't have a great system, nobody is creating the system. It is you and I who are creating that system for ourselves. So ICSI board has made a great effort to include political affairs as a part of the current affairs syllabus. So it is made mandatory for us to read the government, the ministries, and all these things so that we get exposed to the political environment and start understanding the way in which different political parties, ministries, ministers, and governments think and act. So I'm personally very happy that this was made because knowledge and education on political affairs, especially in a country like India, which is the democratic country, is necessary, and it's a great move by the ICSI board. Right. And the last chapter that we have in current affairs is on the legal affairs. And again, this is really beautiful chapter because all of you are aspiring, company secretaries. So since all of you are aspiring company secretaries, it is important for you to know. Anyway, you have a paper, a part on legal aptitude. So you will read, study, understand, discuss, debate on various legal aspects. You will also study about the institutions here who practice or who create a platform for the practicing and execution of all the laws and other things. So we start with the Supreme Court of the country, which is the apex body when it comes to the legal affairs. So from there we start, and from there we move on to High Court. Here we study about the Chief Justice, the selection of Chief Justice, and the selection of Chief Justice of India, and what are the basic qualifications to become the Chief Justice, or all these things are included in this part of the syllabus, which is very interesting. And again, it is fundamental for all of us to know these things. There is no second thought about these things, which all of us must and should know. From there, we move on and we again read about the NCLT and NCLAT. This NCLT and NCLAT, that is the National Company Law Tribunal and National Company Appellant Tribunal. All these things we study in business environment also. So it is a repetition here. So we will come to know when was this formed, why was this formed, and what is the scope, what are the roles and responsibilities. All these things are covered in this part. Then we also have something called the administrative tribunal. Very, very important. There is something called state administrative tribunal and central administrative tribunal. So even we study about that here. So now that I have told you all the important heads that you have in the syllabus, it is very, very clear for us that the current affairs syllabus as such focuses on the fundamental things which every Indian citizen should know, right? Whether you are a CS aspirant or not, that is not the question here at all. All the fundamental elementary knowledge a citizen of a country should have is covered in the syllabus. So 90-page syllabus covers all these things, and it is very interesting. And every time you read it, you get to know a lot of things. So is one-time reading enough? One-time reading sort of leaves you with a good amount of knowledge. If you can read it twice or thrice, a lot of information gets registered in the mind. Okay. Now, along with these topics in the syllabus, the best part is it also talks about the latest things that have happened under each of these topics. That is the most interesting thing. For example, let us take BRICS. Now, what does BRICS stand for? BRICS stands for, it is a regional block, or it is a business block, you can call it, trade block also. So, what is this trade block all about? Which are the member countries? In BRIC, B stands for Brazil, R stands for Russia, I stands for India, and C stands for China, and S stands for South Africa. So there are 5 countries, and they all come from different continents except for India and China. We share the border also. Anyway, we'll talk about India, China a little later in the same session. Okay, so what are these? Why have these countries come together? That's an important question. Why somebody like Sri Lanka is not a part of it, or why somebody like say Finland or Greenland is not a part of it, is the question that arises. These five are the fastest growing economies in the world, right? So these five have come together because they have all the potential and chances to become the biggest, largest economies in the world in the days to come. Okay. Now, if you see, the whole of 19th century was dominated by the European countries. The whole of 20th century was dominated by USA. Now, it is told that the 21st century and in the years to come, it will be dominated by the continent of Asia. And which are the countries which have got all the potential to do so? It is India and China. So this itself shows that these are the fastest growing economies in the world. So they have a lot of agreements that are signed, and they keep meeting, and they come out with policies which will promote each other's growth and development and other things. So we read about BRICS. Then we also talk about the latest things that they have done, when did they meet, and the latest deals that they have signed. And we also come across some of the very specific things that BRICS is doing. For example, it is told that in the last summit that happened of all the BRIC nations, India signed a pact with Russia for R-27 missiles. Right. So Russia and India have always been defense partners. When I say defense partners, Russia has been one of the largest supplier of defense equipment to India, not from today, right from 1950s and 60s. You might have heard about something called MiG. Okay, there are complaints, there are a lot of problems associated with MiG. It's a second generation fighter aircraft, if I remember it correctly. So there are a lot of complaints. There are people who tell that it is called the flying coffin. That's the name it is given because there are a lot of pilots who have lost their lives flying MiGs and all those things. Anyway, we'll not get into that. But the point here is Russia has been one of the major suppliers of defense equipment to India right from the days we got our independence. So there is another missile that India has signed with Russia, and it is called R-27. So there is some information that is given on R-27. So this way, we read about the trade bloc, we read about the history, background, and we read about what exactly they are into, and we also come to know about the latest things that has happened with respect to that particular topic. So this is how the entire syllabus is framed. If you talk about, say, the international treaties and facts and all those things, we read about a program called Namaste Trump, which happened in Ahmedabad, where the USA president was in India. So it is a diplomatic relationship that India and USA wanted to establish and fortify and make it stronger. USA has declared that India is its natural ally, and India also feels that America is one of the friendly nations in the world. So such diplomatic facts were made stronger by Prime Minister Modi visiting USA and USA President visiting India. So such news and important policies or important agreements that they signed, all these things are covered in the syllabus. So it is one of the interesting and the most updated. I'm not telling it is the updated syllabus for the simple reason it was written sometime last year, September. So until then, whatever has happened has been included in the syllabus. So that makes it most updated syllabus that you can find, and it is really interesting, informative, educative for all. Right. So this is about the syllabus part of the live session. Now we have to come to the next part. How do we prepare ourselves? Where do we start? How do we go about it? Now, where do you start? Start is very simple. Start reading the syllabus from the first chapter till the fourth chapter, 90 pages, maybe 10 pages a day. So whenever you are reading something, whatever you find interesting, make it a habit to mark it. If you have a highlighter, highlight it, keep it. Important dates, numbers, people involved, institutions involved, all these things are to be underlined and kept, right? So this is the beginning of it. Now, can we expect questions straight away from the syllabus, like how we can expect questions from others? Here the chances are less. Now, why am I telling this? It works something like this. Like I told you, we are talking about, say, India, China, correct? So there is, when we talk about India, China, we read something like India and China are member nations in BRICS, right? And they all met in Goa in 2018, and there was a meeting that happened. All these things really good. But what is the latest about India and China now? The latest issue is the border issue, right? So Chinese soldiers started moving inside the Indian border, and we tried to stop them, and this almost escalated to the level of war, and 20 of our soldiers were martyred. Like always, China doesn't give any numbers exactly. That is how every communist country works. They don't give out any information that easily. So according to the estimates, around 43 Chinese soldiers were martyred. They were killed, right? So then what happened? This happened in a place called Galwan, and the Chinese forces had to move back, right? So India stood very strong, and we started. There were talks that started happening between the defense advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, and the defense minister of China. So India was tough, and as a result of that, the news that came in the newspapers is that the Chinese army went back, right, and India is holding its ground. So that's the latest between India and China. Is that the latest? No. After that, few other things happened. What is it? India banned around 59 apps which came from China straight away, right? So this was a bigger jolt that India gave to China, because you all know that China is an export-oriented country, and they supply a lot of goods and services to various parts of the country, right? So there is an export-oriented economy, and India is one of the largest markets, not just for China, but for any country in the world. It might be the American companies, it might be France companies, or it might be Israel companies. We are one of the largest markets. Now, why are we the largest market? Because we simply have around 137 crore population, correct? Is population good or bad? That's another discussion. But if you look at Indian population as a market, we are a huge market. Now, I can give an analogy for you to understand. If you take America's population, it's around 38 crores. India's population is 137 crores. It means that we have got people which is 100 crores more than USA's population. So any company, any multinational company would be interested to have their operations in India, because India offers such a huge market. So for Chinese apps as well, India was a huge market. So what did India do? India retaliated in another way, along with retaliating in the Galwan region. So what did India do? India banned their apps, and they closed all the doors for these companies to appeal in the court and come back to India once again. No, there were no doors that were kept open. All doors closed and told leave the country and go. So that is the news that came later. Now after that, there are a lot of other things that are coming in, but these are some of the important, the latest news between India and China. So where did it all start? It all started with the Chinese aggression, then India's retaliation, then Chinese moving back, then talks between the security advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, and the defense minister of China. Then it was about India banning the 59 apps. Not only that, the biggest app which got banned in this whole thing was TikTok, right? So that is the news that is latest. So that is what something which you should know. So read the textbook, understand what is given, and any news that is related to that topic, when you find in the newspapers, pay attention. News related to RBI, important. IRDA, important. SEBI, important. So all such topics that are there. News related to business leaders, very important. News related to political leaders, important. So all these things are to be read, and you should remember all this. The next question that comes here is, where do we get all this information? There is no textbook, right? That's what I told. What makes this entire subject so very interesting is, although we have a syllabus is just showing us the path, but the real subject matter is available in the newspaper. So the moment I tell the content that is required for us to prepare for current affairs is available in the newspaper, the immediate question that pops up in your mind is which newspaper? Correct. ICSI has told that the best newspaper to follow is the Financial Express. That doesn't mean that you should not read other newspapers. Please do read. You can read Deccan Herald. You can read. I don't know whether Deccan Herald is available across the country. We get it as Deccan Chronicle. I don't know about the other states in the country. You can read Times of India. Times of India is available across the world. You can also read Hindu also. Hindu is another great paper which covers a lot of government related news and policies and all those things. But their language standard is on the higher side. It is a little difficult to read and understand and digest and assimilate and all those things. So Indian Express is another one. So Financial Express is from Indian Express. So you can read Indian Express and Financial Express. So what is great about Financial Express is in Financial Express you get news, all kinds of news, politics and legal and all these things. Along with that, there is a lot of importance given to the financial sector, economy, and the business world. So this more or less covers most of the things that is a part of our syllabus. So what should we do? Like I told you in the beginning, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. If you can allot for reading newspaper, if possible, Financial Express, I can assure you that you will get great marks in this paper. Now the question that comes is, how do we get this Financial Express? We don't have the supply because this paper circulation, I'm not very sure. So we don't get the supply. I spoke to the paper boy and he told it is not available in the city and all this. These are some things that I've heard from our students. Nothing to worry, because today every newspaper has got their online presence. Every newspaper has got their app. So you can easily go to either App Store or the Google Store, and you can download the app and you can start using it. What sort of news we should read? Try to read something which is a part of the syllabus. Like I told you, national level organization, international level organization, business personality, political personalities, important judgments that are given by Supreme Court or High Court of your state and other states, NCLAT, NCLT, right? So these are the things which you should read and remember. You should also read about what is happening in the business world. Very important. Who is the chairman of which company? So how do we remember all these things? Very simple. There'll be a news. Read that news. Just don't read the news. Read the name of the person. For example, Finance Minister Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman comes out with some reforms for the MSME sector. You come across this. So what did you read now? You read about MSME, right? Micro, small, and medium enterprises. You read about the reform that the finance ministry has proposed or executed. You also came to know who's the finance minister. Who's the finance minister? Sitharaman, Nirmala Sitharaman. So one news bit gave you so many things. So read about business world, economics, read about the markets, investments, FDI, FII, FPI. All these things are important and it is covered in the newspaper. Okay. So from you start on a Monday and you go till Sunday, that is one full week. And generally what happens is on Saturday and Sunday, the business news will be on the lesser side because the business world functions mostly actively from Monday to Friday. But Monday to Friday, you will get a lot of business related news, which you can read and understand and make sure that you prepare well for the exam, right? So next question that comes is, what sort of questions are generally asked? This is another question that generally students ask. Now, where do we get the sample questions? Like every other subject and chapter, we have the chapters which are followed by questions. There will be 8 to 10 or 5 to 10 questions in the this one. What is that? In the CSEET chapters, you find 5 to 8 questions. So that is not a great thing. You get few questions, but should we depend on that? Is it everything? No, that is not everything. That is really not everything. So what should we make it a habit to visit icsi.edu? Please remember this, very, very important. Make it a point to visit icsi.edu. Scroll down a little, and there you will find an icon which will be CSEET, a big icon which is very prominent on the home page. So when you open that, what you see is you see the different tabs, the new things that would have come up. So in the new things that you see, there will be every month they release something called the newsletter, okay, or the bulletin for the month of April, bulletin for the month of May, June, all these things. Every month it is released, and in each bulletin there are 10 questions given on every paper that you write in the examination. So there you specifically go to current affairs. Why I'm telling this to you is that is where we come to know the kind of questions that you can expect in the exam. It is the indication to you. These are the type of questions that we ask. So there you will understand the type of questions and the preparation. They also give the answers. So if you're starting your preparation, the best thing that you can do is first go to the bulletin of May or June, whatever is available, download it, read the questions, you will understand the type of questions that are there. Then you can start following such news in the newspaper. So there are three things that you have to do in order to prepare yourself really well for the CSEET current affairs exam. First is read the entire syllabus. Read 10 pages a day. So 9 days, job done. Along with this, make it a habit to read the newspaper. If you do not get the hard copy of the newspaper, or if you feel that it is not safe during the COVID times to get the newspaper home, nothing to worry. If you have a smartphone, I'm very sure most of you will have, or all of you will have. If you are watching this program, you should have a smartphone or a computer. Download the app or go to their website. You get the digital newspaper. Read it 20 minutes a day. Initially, it is difficult, it is boring, because most of the things that are told there are not understood by us. But that is fine. Put your efforts. Read. How much ever you understand, even if you don't understand, read it. Somewhere it gets registered. So that's the second thing that all of you should do. Third thing that you have to do is download the e-bulletin. Keep solving the quiz that is there on current affairs. If you keep doing this, I'm 100% sure that you will do really well in the CSEET current affairs examination. Now, to sort of guide you how to get the news bits and what sort of news bits to be seen, we had done a series of the current affairs in our YouTube channel. You can find the videos there. Around 30-35 videos are done. So it was done in the month of April and May. April and May, yes. We did few videos in the month of June as well. So you can follow these videos, and in these videos we have picked the news which is very relevant to your CSEET exam. So if you follow that, you will have an idea what sort of news that you have to read in the newspaper. That makes it a little more easier for you. And one important thing that I want to quote here is the questions that we see in the ICSI bulletin. Around 60 to 70% of that, that is out of 10 questions, 6 to 7 questions of that was covered in the videos that we have done. So it means that we were in the right path. We were following, or we were picking the right news that even ICSI considers important and has a question in their e-bulletin. So follow these videos very, very closely and try to understand the news items and make sure that you prepare well for your exams. Right. If you have any questions, you can leave your questions here in the comment section. I'll try to answer those questions. If you have any doubts, you can ask. I'm still here for a few more minutes. So you can ask, and I will get back to you with the answers. I'll wait for 2 minutes. You can leave your questions here. Okay, there are no questions that have come up. So I think that is fine, and I have shared all the information that I wanted to share with all of you. Shall we stop the session here? Right. Anil Tiwari. Good evening. Yeah, good evening. There are a lot of you who are wishing good evening to all of you. It was nice addressing you all. I hope this session was of some help and you got some insights into the current affairs syllabus and the exam pattern, and it gave you some insights into how to prepare yourself for the CSEET current affairs exam. If you still have any doubts, you can always leave it in the comment section. We shall definitely get back to you with the right answer. Right then, thank you. It was nice talking to all of you. See you all soon in our online classes, which would be starting next month, early next month. And we'll make sure that we all meet and discuss a lot about the current affairs and make sure that we do well in the upcoming CSEET exams. Okay, there are some messages that are coming in. Sir, can you please mention the app? Sir, can we get book in stores? Okay, so please mention the app. App is a Financial Express app. Financial Express is the name of the newspaper. So you can check for Financial Express app and you can download it. I think it is available both in Play Store, that is Google's Play Store, and Apple's App Store. In both these things, you can find the app, Financial Express app. If you want to have some lighter news also to be read, if you find all these things very difficult to begin with, you can also download InShots. InShots also extensively covers news across the spectrum: politics, entertainment, business, entrepreneurship, economics. All these things are covered in shorts as well. It is not very intense like the Financial Express, but they also give a lot of information. Absolutely no doubt, no second thought about it. They also cover a lot of information. You can download even that app. So InShot is one and Financial Express is another one. Both these apps will be of great help to you to prepare yourself. Okay. Downloaded the app. Yeah, yes. Thanks, Danish. It is really helpful. Yes. Okay. Any other questions that you have which you would like to ask? You can ask. We are still here. We're still here for another minute or so. If you have any doubts, you can definitely ask and we will answer. Okay. Can we get the book in stores? Which book are you asking about, Shreyas? I'm not very sure. If you registered for CSEET exams, I think ICSI board itself will give you the book. And all the reference material is available in the icsi.edu website itself. Okay. So you need not buy any book outside. Depend on the ICSI reference material, and you can depend on the newspaper for current affairs. Okay, I think there are no more questions that are coming in. So shall we end the session here? Okay, it was nice talking to all of you. We shall meet very soon in our live classes, in our online classes, and prepare ourselves for the CSEET exam. Thank you. See you all. Have a good night. Thank you.